At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome, Tuesday, the 24th.
Terrific Tuesday
of June. Yes, terrific Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Movie Tuesday.
Movie Tuesday, Tequila Tuesday, for those who partake.
2 for Tuesday.
2 for Tuesday.
Yeah.
Where's 2 for Tuesday?
Salisbury House.
Salisbury, the Sal's.
Yeah.
2 for Tuesday.
Yeah. Are you unaware of 2 for Tuesday?
Something else on Tuesday. No, I've heard 2 for Tuesday for a long
Okay.
time.
Just making sure.
There's so much terrificness around Tuesday that it's hard to
doesn't
keep
stop.
track.
It doesn't
Including
stop.
our first guest is Dynamic Tuesday.
We'll get to him.
Tenacious Tuesday?
Our guest is Tuesday. It's his middle name.
Yeah.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program as we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza only at Boston Pizza. Lots to get to on the show. Still tons to get into on Jonathan Toews and his impact on this team and what that could look like. Did you see Buffalo Sabres GM Kevyn Adams saying that there's some misinformation about circling around his team once again?
Well, I've been reading that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that as the show goes on. And the Blues have a new logo.
I just like to announce I've been reading. People
you have? Yes.
People think I can't read.
That's right. And the Blues have a new logo apparently.
Wow.
I always think these are silly, but we'll get into that too. But happy to welcome Mitchell Clinton onto the show. Hey, Mitchell, how are you?
I'm both tenacious on this Tuesday, and you read off that pizza from Boston Pizza, so it might be Pizza Tuesday for me as well this evening.
Every day. That's why it's Triple Pep.
Bringing some tenacity to the Triple Pep.
Triple Pep Pizza. Mitchell, how you doing? Well, how are things going, man?
How's the summer?
Really good. Really good. Yeah, it kind of actually feels like, summer's going to be getting underway here now that the Stanley Cup final is over. You always kind of have an eye on that as it kind of winds down. And then once it ends, it kind of just feels like, oh, here's the draft. Oh, here's development camp. And then after that, you can kind of settle in a little bit. But development camp schedule just came out actually for the Winnipeg Jets. So on-ice sessions start on July 1. So you can watch all those on-ice sessions. Those are free and open to the public. So just a heads up for everyone.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Actually, we're just working on some maybe being even down there. So we're just starting some early conversations. We'll see. We don't have permission yet. I shouldn't even be talking about this. It's classified information.
Well, and great.
But we're going to try to be down there.
Great that it's starting Canada Day, because if you're working, that gives people and fans and kids a chance to get down and watch a little bit. As general managers spend too much money.
Yeah, exactly. So take those two things in. I'm sure you're getting tons of questions about Jonathan Toews. What's the question you're getting the most about him so far?
Mostly, what role is he going to play? Obviously, Adam Lowry's kind of off-season surgery kind of plays a role in that a little bit, especially at the start of the year. But a lot of it is what role, and two, what's his conditioning going to be like? And what I usually kind of look at it like is, for an athlete like Jonathan Toews that has the resume that he does, he's not just going to be like, you know what, I feel like playing hockey again this year, and just show up. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to make sure that he's put in the training. He's going to make sure his body's ready to go. Of course, nothing can replace game reps. Absolutely. So there's certainly going to be a little bit of an adjustment there, but the old Paul Maurice quote always sticks in my head when it comes to what role is he going to play, and that's nothing's permanent, right? It can kind of go, maybe he goes as high as 2C, maybe, once everybody's healthy and we get later on in the season, maybe that role changes. You just don't know, but you want to make sure that you're putting him in the best position to succeed, and he's going to want to push himself to be as high in the lineup as possible. But at the same time, it always comes down to what's best for the team. And, I'd imagine those decisions will be made by head coach Scott O'Neill and the coaching staff based on what they see on the ice from both Taves, his line mates, and the team as well.
So does that affect anything this summer on what Cheveldayoff might be looking for, like either trade or open market? Like I get why fans are wondering, right? Because I think they're sitting there going, is he the second line center? Is he the fourth line center? Obviously third line if Adam Lowry doesn't start the season. But I don't know. What do you think, Mitchell? I don't get the thought that he's sitting pat going, okay, we don't need another top six center.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. he's kind of always said, that being Kevin Cheveldayoff, throughout, his time in Winnipeg, that he's always looking, you're always making calls, even if, those calls don't end up being anything. Part of your job as a general manager is just making sure that you're in tune with what's going on and who's available, right? So I always think back to 2018 when Winnipeg acquired Paul Stastny. There wasn't a whole lot of people that knew he was available, right? But that's part of, Kevin Cheveldayoff's job, is trying to unearth that kind of thing. And, maybe he ends up in on some of the conversations around players that we already know are available on the free agent market. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think just, signing Jonathan Toews, once it becomes official after July 1, that, that kind of puts an end to the search or the conversations or the research that the team will be doing, just because you're always trying to make your team better, and you just never know, what one conversation might turn into. Maybe there's a deal there, maybe there's a signing there that, maybe people weren't maybe looking at, but just because of being in touch with his fellow GMs, something might pop up. So yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Jim. I don't think it's something that he's just kind of sitting back on, because once you're on your back foot, it can kind of be tough to catch up.
Is there a contingency plan if Ehlers decides that he's going to sign elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. That's that one. As much as I bang on Kevin Cheveldayoff's door, he doesn't seem to let me in. So there's always. I'd imagine.
Well, Mitchell, you're not trying hard enough, man. Come on.
I'd imagine they've got a couple of different ways that they'd want to go, but when it comes to those types of things, I always kind of say it's a two-way street, right? Like if you get Ehlers extended and becomes a Jet for life, as Kevin Cheveldayoff kind of mentioned at the end of the year, well, that's great. That would be awesome. On the same token, if you're out there trying to sign players or find players, the player has to agree on to the terms as well. So you can have a bunch of great plans. They just may not come together, but that's kind of why you always want to have those different looks or different solutions in your back pocket, and then see what you have, when training camp rolls around. But like we've always seen, whether it's the Winnipeg Jets or it's other teams, just because training camp starts doesn't mean, the search or the path to try to make your team better comes to an end. A trade or a move can be made at any time.
It's much like Brendan Dillon, right? I mean, you offer him a contract, he decides to go elsewhere. You have to have there's other options here in play that the Winnipeg Jets can take advantage of. Right?
We were kicking around on the podcast yesterday. Like it's a win now, obviously, for the Jets. So they would be sitting here and have a couple of plans that's in place, Mitchell. But it's interesting on whether that plan includes, like, say they get a big fish and Ehlers stays. I would presume that, somebody like a Samberg or a Vilardi would have to be bridged. Do you see that in the future? Because I can understand why they're not announcing these deals yet, because they quite possibly could not be done. But I'd also think management knows that, look, we're going to get Vilardi and Samberg, and we're thinking this ballpark, and probably talk to their agents, but nothing's maybe solidified yet because you don't know what they might get done after July 1st. Do you feel the same, or do you feel like, no, those are deals that's going to be done, or do you think there could be a bridge coming dependent on what the team does elsewhere?
Yeah, it's always a process, right? And, you think back to some of the RFAs that Kevin Cheveldayoff and Winnipeg has been able to get done. Sometimes those things go into September. Now it's a little bit different for, maybe someone like Gabriel Vilardi that we talked about, or Dylan Samberg, just because they have those arbitration rights, right? So there's a certain process that comes in regard to that. And really that, I'm sure there's been, some conversations, some feelers, some maybe a little bit of negotiation between the two sides at this point. But what I've kind of seen from Winnipeg, and it's kind of similar for a lot of organizations, is you kind of handle the business as it comes. And July 1 is kind of the important date right now, whether that's trying to get, Nikolaj Ehlers to get the name on the dotted line before then or whatnot. You kind of handle that UFA part of it, and then you kind of see where you're at. Of course, July 1's the big day, but you can still sign these free agents afterwards, as we've seen Winnipeg do in a number of situations over the last number of seasons, right? So there's always a process involved. And then kind of like you said, Jim, you kind of see where you're at after a day or two or whatever it may be of free agency, depending on what you've kind of got cooking on, whether that's the back burner or the front burner. And then you can go into your RFA negotiations knowing a little bit more of what ballpark you'd like to see it come in at.
Yeah, I mean, these things, everything's got to kind of come in its own time, right? It's you can prepare as much as you can, but you still got to wait for that deadline to hit before things can really start falling into place. And Mitchell Clinton, Jets Radio Colour Analyst here on 680 CJOB. Mitchell, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of June. And I'm sure we'll talk again in July.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm looking forward to the Jets development camp. I gotta see if my tan is better than Ken Weeb's. That's kind of what I've been looking for right now. Kind of throwing down the gauntlet here on a Tuesday afternoon.
Has he been wearing a visor too, just to make sure the top of the head gets...
how dare you?
Find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. But that's a good point. It's hard to match that Weber tan when a guy golfs 13 times a day.
Got to set the high bar, right?
Yeah. Mitchell, thanks so much. Take care.
Yeah, see you guys.
Yeah. 204-780-6868, 204-780-6860. Who's more likely to get bridged? Jim here. We got about a minute, but who's more likely to get bridged, Samberg or Vilardi?
I don't know. Like, I think they want to lock both those guys up.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's the next wave, right? Mm. You also have Morrissey coming up in a year or two, I think. I'll look that up, but it's
coming up. It's coming up quicker than you might think. Yeah.
You got Connor. And you always want these things to start a year away if you can, but I don't know if there's bridges out there. I always go like ballpark.
3 seasons. 3 seasons.
Okay,
two after the one coming up. Yeah.
2 after this one. Okay. So that's not that bad then. But I think that so the core is the core, right? It's Scheifele, it's Connor if he stays, Ehlers. Mm-hmm. But we already know Hellebuck and Morrissey and that's the core, Lowry and stuff. The next core, in my opinion, and I'm not talking about the Jagers coming up and the Barlows and Salamonsons. I'm talking the next core, in my opinion, is Perfetti, Samberg, those kind of guys, right? So I just think if you can lock up Samberg, you need to do it. I liked what you said yesterday on the podcast about Vilardi, maybe 4 years. That seems to be the new kind of thing.
I would do that for Vilardi in 4 years, right? I would. And
sign him for 4 years as opposed to 7.
Yeah, I would do 4.
Now, if he wants to stay, don't get me wrong. This organization wants people to stay. They make them stay for 7 years.
Yeah.
But, I wonder if you have to save some cash or defer some, or I don't know. But I don't think either of them get bridged, to be honest with you.
I think the organization would definitely like them both long term. Just wrap it up, move on, go on to the next thing.
6 years at least.
Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. Where does Taves fit? Special teams wise, time on the ice. Jim and I are going to discuss that.
Jonathan Toews probably wants the team to sign somebody else, so we'll start talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is what I was still getting questions yesterday about it.
Well, no, it's all everyone's talking to me about too. Is still this. So I mean, it's got legs. There's no doubt about it. It's a big deal. And the Blues have a new logo, I guess. We'll talk about that after this.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toews on 680 CJOB.
Hey, call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Dig into the new Triple Pep Pizza and Double Trouble Nachos, available now only at Boston Pizza. The number one caller will win a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza on Friday. I always find these funny. Now, it's not funny, ha-ha. Not funny, ha-ha, but they have a new logo, the St. Louis Blues. If you want to look at it, just go to my X account, Cam at Noon, CAMATNOON, and take a look at it if you're wondering what it looks like. I always find these funny, Jim, because they're just like these tiny little retooling. I think the new full blue jerseys look good. I think they look cool, but there's never much of a difference. And organizations always sort of try to make a big deal about this, but it's essentially the same.
I will say this. They managed to make the logo look older. For the retro, the heritage note, it looks like a logo that was made in the 50s.
It looks cool,
but it's much the same logo. You're right. But I do like the colors. I don't mind that, but
yeah, it's okay.
Got to sell some jerseys, man. Everybody in St. Louis has their jersey, but do you have this one?
Do you have the heritage note? Because the other one had a blue outline over the yellow outline. This one only has the yellow outline. There's no more blue outline.
Do you know I was told about when it comes to this that people do color coordinate with the blue and with jerseys? I just jeans and a jersey if I ever wore one. But most people go, no, I get the pants and the shoes and it matches up.
I don't.
You
got to
get the right fit, as the kids say.
I wear jeans, and if I hopefully can get a jacket on too as well. Where does Taves fit? We'll be right back.
Fit still with my jeans.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program as we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza only at Boston Pizza. And while you're doing all that, download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your favorite podcast with exclusive Jets talk and content only found there. And take Jets at Noon wherever you go and continue the conversation whenever you want. Tyson, what did he throw at us today? He asked us a crazy question involving Jonathan Toews, Sasha Barkov, and Patrice Bergeron. And I can't even repeat the question.
It was, even addressing it is, I mean, days after Taves gets signed.
And he wants to ask us this question? You know what? Tyson Rewicki has no class. I will say that.
It's like you go to somebody's birthday, and then 2 days later you go, which gift do you like the most in front of everybody? You can't do that.
That's
How was your birthday? Pretty good. Which gift that you got from all the gifts you got from all of us sitting here did you like the best?
Yeah. And then demands an answer.
Yeah. I want
the
truth.
That's just how he operates. So whatever, we deal with him. This is how short-staffed we are. We have to deal with Tyson, so that's fine. Before we get into this, I love Tyson, by the way. I'm totally kidding. Abbotsford Canucks won the Calder Cup. Don't tell me there isn't a professional hockey title.
In Canada.
The Abbotsford Canucks, AHL champions.
Manny
Beating the
Malhotra.
Charlotte Checkers. Yeah.
Head coach.
The Manny Malhotra.
Who's on the Abbotsford team?
Arthur Shelovs won playoff
MVP, the goalie.
Sammy Blais. And some other notable hopeful. Now, if you're a Canucks fan, hopeful Canucks, NHL Canucks at some point.
They finished second in the division. Now, here's the reason why. I mean, any championship is great. Congratulations to the Abbotsford Canucks. But the Canucks are one of those teams that should have made the playoffs last year. And just everything that went on and things weren't, and everybody's wondering, like, really good season the year before, really bad season the next year. And then you sit here and go, what are they? What are they going to be? And then their AHL team wins the Calder Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they could be obviously I was leaning last year. I think they're better than what they played last year.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But then you add in some of these players and maybe they're not. But you were asking me today, like, what does Brock Besser get? And I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get $8 million?
Yeah, that's the talk.
Is he going to Minnesota? Is he going to play for the Wild now that they paid all those players not to play for them for so many years?
They're finally on the tail end of it. Yeah, now the Preds have taken that role, still paying Duchesne forever.
The Blues lost to the Jets, but I did not want to go, thanks, Minnesota, for paying Suter to beat the Jets. Like you just paid him to beat you when he played for Dallas a couple of years ago.
So congratulations to the Abbotsford Canucks. Yeah. And the Charlotte Checkers this is actually of note, are the affiliate of the Florida Panthers.
Are they Florida?
Yeah. Yeah, they are Florida.
I thought they were.
Because Charlotte, there was, Charlotte abandoned the Carolina Hurricanes.
That is true.
I don't even know who is the affiliate of the Carolina Hurricanes. Do you know the answer to that question?
I thought it was Charlotte.
I think because the Chicago Wolves, they went independent.
Yes. Well, I mean, we can Google it here for our listeners.
Yeah, they went independent for 1 year, but now they're the Carolina Hurricanes. They were unaffiliated for 1 year, and I guess that didn't work out.
I remember Paul Maurice telling stories about driving up to Charlotte to watch a game. Like if the Carolina Hurricanes were at home for 3 days and then had a game, he would drive up and watch an AHL game.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
So congratulations, Abbotsford. Congratulations to the AHL Canucks. Continuing on the conversation with Jonathan Toews. We didn't touch on this, and I wanted to make sure we talked about it today. What role he would have in special teams on the power play and in the penalty kill. What do you think would be his ideal position on the power play, Jim? And we'll talk about the PK in a second.
Well, I think
is it first unit or second unit?
I don't know because it's all around Ehlers, right? Like if Ehlers is here, I think they're set, and if he's not, I mean, I would presume Perfetti's going to be on the number one now, so like regularly. I mean, I know he did play some time there. I don't know,
well, you'd want him out there for faceoffs in some key if you need to win a draw.
For sure,
you might have him out there for a faceoff and then get off the ice.
And go to the front of the net, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like if it's, does he take a penalty killing role here?
That's a great question. Because there'll be some face-offs that you're going to want him to take on the PK. So do you want him just to be a part-time guy, or is he going to be an anchor on the penalty kill? I don't know. Do you want Jonathan Toews killing penalties? It's a legitimate question.
I think he's definitely on the second unit, and then
power play. Yes,
he's probably the center in the second unit power play.
Yeah,
because I think up top you have. I think Perfetti takes Ehlers' spot,
and
then I think you have Vilardi, Scheifele, Connor, Perfetti, Morrissey.
Yeah,
and then the second one. I think Taves is on there for sure. Vlad Nemestikov and
is he on
follow
the penalty kill?
Nino, give me fuel, give me fire.
Give me Nino Ryder.
Neil Pionk will be the point on that.
Yeah, do you need? But like on the PK, like do you think Jonathan Toews will be killing penalties on this team?
I think he would be more than willing to, but they've got really good penalty killers, right? So, but without Rasmus Kupari. Because I think he killed penalties, right?
Mason Appleton.
If no Mason Appleton, for sure he would be out there. Yeah,
they need someone to take those kills. And if Adam Lowry is going to be missing a significant time to start the year, Jonathan Taves might be killing penalties on this team.
Yes, I think he might be. And then, especially on the faceoff in their own end, right?
Yeah,
for sure he would be killing penalties. I think he'd be willing to do that. I mean, I honestly think he's going to contribute. Just to what level? I mean, we've been kicking this around for a while, but to what level? But I think he's going to be a benefit and he's going to contribute. But I also think he's going to do whatever. I think he will contribute in any way he can. I mean, we haven't talked about this much, but how happy is he going to be back on the ice?
Oh, God.
Do you know what I mean? Like just to be playing a game. So I don't think it's an issue of, well, I'm not killing penalties. I need to save myself for this 13 minutes of whatever role I have. I think he's going to be like, whatever you need, whatever you want. And he's just going to be ecstatic to be out in the ice again.
So I put it into artificial intelligence, Jim.
Oh, no.
I used artificial intelligence. And I asked it a very, very important question. I asked it, what is the average, what can we expect from Jonathan Toews point-wise in 2024, 2025, 2026. And I asked this, and bear in mind, artificial intelligence, I know that you don't care much about listener Kelly making Jim and I a delicious rib feast if Jonathan Toews gets 60 points. So I don't know if you're going to weigh that in when you're doing these calculations, but maybe you should.
The chase for 60 is already on.
Yeah. I'm like, Kelly thinks he's getting away with this. He's not.
When he comes to training camp, or even on July 2nd when Taves speaks, I mean, that's the question, right? How fast? One of the media is going to say, how fast can you get to 60?
Yeah, because
for Jim and Cam,
they want a rib feast, courtesy of listener Kelly. I'm not letting this go. But you know how much he said? You know what they said? You know what AI said? 35 to 45.
35 to 45
regular
points.
Season points.
And that's in 82 games or 80?
Over 82 games, yeah. If like over the season, I should say.
That's what I'm talking about, Cam. Like, I think 35 to 40 points, given it's been 2 years and he's 37 years old, is fine. But I also think he could potentially have 55 to 60.
He better.
I mean, the one thing we're not talking about, and no, we are, a lot of people are, but it's just the hockey sense, right? Like there's going to be parts of this season where he's just going to know things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the league is younger than when he left it. It was young when he was leaving it.
Yeah.
But it just, there's some things he's going to know that, like I look at how they played Utah this year, and I think Utah's up and coming and could potentially push somebody out in the West for a playoff spot this year.
They'll be in and around it, I feel.
They'll be in and around it. But I also think there's moments where, a veteran like Jonathan Toews in a game like that where they weren't playing well could do something, could see something that, might pull something out that gets them a goal or changes some momentum or stuff like that. So, especially on the power play.
If Ehlers doesn't re-sign with the Jets and he goes elsewhere, and we look at Taves, would likely have Cole Perfetti on his wing. Is that safe to say? I think that's safe to say.
Yes.
Would you be more willing, Jim, to bring up a player like Lambert and Cheberkov if they're going to be playing with a past Selke winner like Jonathan Toews, understanding how smart and effective his defensive game is? It would open the door. I personally, I would consider bringing those guys in. The likelihood, I would say, of those guys taking a spot like that is greater if Jonathan Toews is the center. I just to like learn under him and understand the defensive side of the game. I mean, what a better guy to teach them that.
Not only that, you sit him beside him in the change room and you let the conversations flow and the conversations like that. So I don't want to get down on Brad Lambert, but he had 7 goals last year in 61 games at the Moose. Now, the Moose had a really rough season. And we talked to Mark Morrison, their head coach, heading into the offseason.
And he told us to give Lambert some more rope there, understanding that he was working on his defensive game, that they didn't have enough, they didn't have as much talent in the lineup. So I don't
Morrison
came to his defense. 100% he did.
35 points in 61 games. So I get 35 points in 61 games, but the 7 goals, you need 20 goals in the top 6, do you not? On that left side. Minimum. So I don't want to rain on Brad Lambert's parade or anything like that, but everybody's just waiting for this. And I don't see this being the season because of they finished first overall and went to the second round. It's win now. I see them going and getting somebody. I just do. And if Lambert takes that somebody's spot and that somebody goes down or to the 4th line or something like that, but at 21 years old and having played a 64-game season in the AHL and a 61-game season, I don't mind him playing another 60 games in the A, having some games up in the NHL, and continuing to develop that all-around game. So that maybe next year, if they bring somebody in on a 1 or a 2-year deal, the year after that, he's pushing for it. But I want to emphasize that it's like you did a great job with Kelly. Well, Kelly did in the Jets Report a while ago, and you were following up on it. But Kevin Cheveldayoff literally asked these guys to come take jobs last summer. Come in and take them. And I don't begrudge them when they didn't, because it's really tough. We're so accustomed the last couple of years to see these 19-year-olds come into the league and get 35, 40 points, and they're just in the league. Yeah. That's not where the Jets are at. The Jets are at, we need to win now. We have a Stanley Cup contending team that we need to augment in this offseason. And you can come to camp and you can shock the world, but the likelihood of that isn't good, and we need to have something else there to make sure that we can push for the Stanley Cup this year.
Nikita Chibrikov, he came in, he had 2 goals over 4 games, small sample size, he had 3 points. So he was able to contribute in a very short time up with the Winnipeg Jets, and he had 7 goals as well, 18 points over 30 games in the AHL before
but when you watch those Stanley Cup finals, I mean, are you going to roll with Brad Lambert? I mean, and don't get me wrong, again, I'm not knocking him. I like him as a player. I really do. I just don't want to force him into something that he's not prepared for and can't handle. And then he gets like, I don't mind the idea of another 60 games in the A and another 15 to 20 maybe, as opposed to just 5 this year with the Jets.
No, I think you hit it. He's he's got to go out there. He's got to earn it. He's got to show he can do it.
3-4 years ago, and I don't even know that because they've been sort of knocking on the door and having playoff disappointments for 4 or 5 years. But there was a time where they would go, Ehlers made the lineup that way. Yeah. Ehlers came in and had his ups and downs and played as a, but I just don't see Lambert coming in and going, because whoever takes that spot on the left side needs 60 points. Let's be honest about that.
Without a doubt.
Whoever plays there, whether it's Lambert or somebody you bring in, you're not going to be successful if you have a 17-point person on your left side of your top 6.
I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You're not worried about young players on the Moose.
Not for the next 2 years.
Not for the next 2 years. You're not worried about them getting them playing time. That's what the minors are for. Yeah. That's what the minors. You're under control by the organization. It is what it is. It's not the best situation for you, but this is professional hockey. This is the business side of things. And unfortunately, that's the reality.
I don't think it's disrespecting Lambert at all. I think he could be a 60-point player year in, year out in this league eventually. But come on. Are we seriously thinking he's going to come in this year on the left side with Taves and Perfetti and put up Ehlers numbers?
Well, we talk about what
if he does, that's awesome.
We were talking about what Mark Morrison was talking about as well. He also said, hey, those guys are going to have to go into camp and take it.
Yes,
he said the same thing. I want to ask.
I'll add this. When I was at camp this year, I went like twice or 2-3 times, but I was there twice. And I took my son, and there were some other people there, my father-in-law, and they're all saying, I can't believe how hard they're going. like even practice.
Yeah.
A practice after camp, and they are like Lowry on Connor down in the corner, and they're teammates. And I'm just explaining to them, like, that's this level. That's this level of, like, it's not, okay, we're practicing puck battles. It's you're in a puck battle every single time you're on the ice in practice.
Let's take a break. Let's come back. On the other side, Jim, do we need to change the way that we look at lines?
I think we do.
Because the Jets have a top line, no doubt. Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi. But I think this season, I think we're going to see, and Lowry eventually when he comes back, I think we're going to see more of a 2A, 2B. Because I'm not so sure that Taves is going to come in and be an absolute rock star second line center in the NHL. I mean, that's unclear. It could be the case. It's unclear right now. But I think he could shoulder a second line, be defensively sound, chip in offensively, much like the 2B line could do as well if Taves and Perfetti are going to be 2A. Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. Somebody's not in the Hall of Fame yet and signed off for the final time. We'll discuss that and we'll tee that up, what we're going to talk about tomorrow as well.
Sure.
And misinformation, according to the Sabres. All that after this.
And Jim Toews on 680 CJOB.
Congratulations to Denny. He's won the Wash Method Car Wash 690 St. Anne's Road VIP Car Wash from our good friends at Wash Method. He said, you know what shouldn't be forgotten is we will still have Nemestikov to backslide into 2C for a short time and Barron to the bottom C position. Yeah. So there is center depth as they await. See, because I think
there is, but there's not legitimate 65, 70-point second line center depth.
Yeah.
There's legitimate depth, yes.
Yeah.
But
Nemestikov's definitely going to fill in for Lowry while he's gone. I think that he's going to take that spot.
I think Taves, it'll be him or Taves.
Yeah.
Like one will be on the second line as of now, but that's why I don't know. My spidey sense are tingling. They're going to try some stuff.
Miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today? Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon. Hotline open 24/7, 204-780-6868. Dig into the new Triple Pet Pizza and Double Trouble Nachos, available now only at Boston Pizza. Don Cherry is not in the Hall of Fame. He signed off on his podcast for the last time at 91 years of age. We're going to talk about that when we get going tomorrow. We're going to definitely touch on that a little bit more. I just wanted to tease that conversation we're going to have. But Buffalo Sabres general manager Kevyn Adams lamented the amount of misinformation circling his team this offseason on Tuesday and shut down reports of the team buying out defenseman Mattias Samuelsson. Adams, however, declined to comment on the future of restricted free agent J.J. Peterka, whose name has come up in trade rumors. Jim.
Yeah, I don't know. These guys don't want to be there. I understand why they don't want to trade them, but so they do their due diligence. And I also read an insider said that Buffalo is really difficult to deal with.
Sabres, this every year after year, the same stuff.
Drama. Not a fan of the drama.
Drama free since 73, isn't that
almost,
what they say?
I almost made it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. That's it for me. I'll be back same time tomorrow. See ya.